So hello and welcome to today's video, where today I'm listing the things I want to see in Body 2, so let's get on with it. I feel that in Grand Theft Auto, especially online, makes it incredibly easy for the player to acquire infinite ammo. Like the max ammo count in GTA 5 is 9,999, and that's for most guns, which makes it borderline impossible for you to lose all your ammo. Now Body 1 actually did this right in my opinion, as Jimmy had very limited ammo for most of his weapons, excluding the slingshot. Like, you couldn't rely on your spud gun lasting you for the entirety of busting in part 2, which I felt added a lot more challenge to some of the missions. Unlike Grand Theft Auto for example, where you can spray your LMG for an hour straight and still have enough ammo left over for the next mission. Even Body's melee weapons would not last you either, like if you kept smacking that greaser upside the head with a plank of wood, it would break. I'd like to see Body 1's limited weapons return in Body 2. Not only would it make story missions harder and more intense, it could also make the online mode more interesting and possibly more strategic too. Like, you wouldn't have to put up with that one bastard who camps somewhere up high with a super slingshot when they've only got like 20 shots instead of 10,000. I know I've implied it, but I'll just say it, if the slingshots return, I hope they do not have infinite ammo, as I felt the super slingshot in Body 1 was quite overpowered. Now this is one I think will be in Body 2, after all Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead have recurring characters, so there's no reason for Body 2 not to have them either. Now obviously I would love for Body 2's cast to be mostly all new, but with one or two characters returning from Body 1. Recurring characters would also be a nice treat for those who loved Body 1, and it shows that Rockstar are trying to link all the Body games into one series, as opposed to keeping them separately. After all, Body 1 is approaching 12 years old now. Of course, if you're watching this after October 2018, it is 12 years old. And of course, Body 2 could mean Rockstar completely reboot the franchise and sort of eradicate Body 1 from the actual series. A bit like how the GTA 3D era has nothing to do with the HD era, which is why characters like Carl Johnson from San Andreas will never be seen again. So who would I actually like to see return? Well honestly, somebody who's either a major character or somebody who's loved within the community. Like, it'd be nice if, say, in Body 2 for example, one of the nerds, Algie or Ernest, are now chemistry teachers, or how on in-game TV we see a character like Trent who's now an actor, which would be a nice reference to his dialogue in Body 1 about being an actor and running off to Hollywood. I wouldn't mind a full-on recurring character appearance either, like say Pete Kowalski makes a voiced appearance, or in-game references, like people mentioned in the events of Body 1, such as the virus in Mayhem. It would be a nice throwback as long as Rockstar don't force them into the story for fan service. A cameo or a side mission appearance would be enough for me. That's just me though, some of you might want to see Pete fully return, or Gary or whoever. A bit more of a niche one, but the one thing I absolutely love about Rockstar's games are the myths that plague them. If you've played Grand Theft Auto or Body or Red Dead Redemption, you're most likely familiar with the myths surrounding them, like Bigfoot, werewolves, ghosts, aliens, Leatherface, etc. And obviously years down the line, they're all mostly fake. And I'd love to see myths make a return in Body 2, but this time have a very small chance of them actually being true. Not like actually having the chance to fight a werewolf, but I'd say in really rare chances you might see, say, glowing red eyes in the forest, which quickly disappear. Not only would this be a creepy Easter egg, but it might also get the myth hunting community back up and kicking, instead of just relying on rumours, photoshopped images and mods. Of course I hope Red Dead Redemption has this too, because I personally love creepy stuff in non-horror games, plus it'd be a tie-in with the typical high school rumours, like say a random student might be heard saying, "I swear I heard some growling when I was in Redwood last night." That's just an example, and it'd pay a nice homage to the werewolf myth from Body 1, where people said, "Oh yeah, I saw this werewolf down by the football field." Now this is a very specific one, but I want Body 2 to stick to its theme, and to explain what I mean by that I'm going to have to talk about Grand Theft Auto. I say this because of how GTA Onliners went, how it was originally you, the protagonist, arriving in Los Santos with nothing but the clothes on your back, starting a new life here working for Simeon, the dodgy car salesman, and working up enough cash to buy an apartment and a crap car, while committing petty crimes in between, such as holding up stores, illegal street racing, death matches and all that, and of course pulling off heists to rake in some big money, which is a bit similar to how the story mode went with Franklin at the beginning. But years down the line, it's now turned into this weird semi-futuristic government delivery boy warfare kind of game with flying bikes, ownable military bunkers, running your own office with hangars and all that. And I feel that GTA Online has really stepped away from what GTA was all about, which was being a nobody to becoming a master criminal. And yeah, GTA Vice City and GTA San Andreas had Tommy and CJ owning businesses, but those businesses were like nightclubs and factories, not full-on military bunkers with access to VTOL warships, orbital cannons, flying cars and bikes, and working alongside government agencies to combat the Russians. Okay, I'll give you that one, but to be fair to that, that wasn't really pushed to the extreme like the Doomsday one was, for example. Like, the last thing I'd want is for Bully 2 to go through a complete overhaul as the years go on, to go from a light-hearted school simulator into some weird futuristic warfare kind of game with serious tones. Like, the point of Bully is sort of like satirise school life. Practically everything in Bully is satirised to the point you know it's a joke, but it's not satirised to the point it can be realistic, which is mostly seen in the characters' personalities, and some of the missions as well, like how Jealous Johnny was all about typical high school romance drama, and how Chapter 4 was about getting revenge on the bullies. And that's the kind of thing I'd like Bully 2 to stick to, and that means the online mode as well. Obviously some changes here and there to obviously keep it fresh, but not to add in missions for like law enforcement where you go and rescue hostages from terrorists and infiltrate military bunkers and prisons and high-tech apparel to break people out. On the subject of tones, I'd prefer it if Rockstar did stick to the light-hearted satire that Bully 1 had, rather than give it GTA's type of humour, or make Bully a completely serious game, like Red Dead Redemption. After all, a vastly different tone to Bully 2 would throw off quite a lot of the fans, who mostly wouldn't like to see Bully do a complete 180 on what the original game was about. Now, if Rockstar do make a DLC that does step away from Bully's theme, I'd hope that it's only for the single player with minimal effect on the online mode. Like, I did enjoy Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, because Undead Nightmare wasn't forced as a vital part of Red Dead's online mode and was its own story instead of forcing itself into the main plot of Redemption 1. Like, you could start with Undead Nightmare at any point in the story and it would have absolutely no effect on the main story at all. It's its own story, nothing else, that's all. And that's the kind of thing I'd like to see in Bully 2, if Rockstar do add in, say, zombie DLCs or something like that. I just want to say that this video was made before Red Dead Redemption 2, and I've heard rumours that that game will have a respect and honour meter, so what I say here might be outdated by that point. The respect meter is a major part of Bully 1, where it lists how popular Jimmy is with the cliques of Bulworth. However, I feel the meter was just completely useless after the player beats the clique's respective chapter, and once you've beaten the game, it's just, well, completely flat out useless, as no matter what Jimmy does, the cliques will never hate him, unless they're provoked, which after that fight, they'll love Jimmy again like nothing ever happened. And Bully isn't the first Rockstar game with a respect meter either. In GTA San Andreas, CJ had a respect meter which lists how respected he was in Grove Street. But it was impossible for CJ to become hated by Grove Street. Even if CJ kills every member he sees, they'll never hate him. All that will happen is CJ can't recruit as many members as he'd like. But then again, the respect is gained after CJ just kills cops and Borders members. So I'd like Rockstar to keep in the respect meters for the cliques, but I'd love it even more if they actually worked. Like, say if you go and cause a lot of trouble in free mode by constantly beating up a specific clique or doing the wrong things to annoy them, like tagging up their turf and playing pranks on them. Technically speaking, this sort of happens in Bully 1, where Jimmy would beat up, say, preps and they'd hate him even more. But outside missions, there was nothing the player could do to change their respect. It was always fixed, so Jimmy loses respect after most missions. I feel something like this in Bully 2 would be a welcomed addition, as in the Bully community, you have people who love a certain clique but may hate another. And I think a free mode respect meter would add a bit of uniqueness to the game, where say one player likes the Greasers and as such they're on good terms with them, but is universally hated by the Jocks. I'd also like to see some bonuses for actually being on good terms with cliques. Like, say if you're on good terms with the Nerds, you can get access to their secret weapons, such as like spud guns, bottle rocket launchers and all that, and the Greasers could give you better mods for your bike, or discounts, and the Jocks could give you unique fighting moves. Of course, the player should be able to regain clique respect too, and that could even be an achievement where you purposely become hated by one, but then regain their trust to 100%. That's just a thought though. One of the small details I really liked in Bully 1 was how NPCs and Jimmy interact with each other. Like, you'll go around school, see groups talking, and Jimmy can greet or threaten people. The cliques will respond and all that. Granted, it was very basic, as it was a 2006 game. Like, if Jimmy greets somebody, all he can do is say hi, and he cannot hold up proper conversations with any characters. I'd love it if Rockstar actually added in the ability to talk to the characters, instead of just repeating hello over and over again. Now, one of the rumours for Red Dead Redemption 2 is that Arthur Morgan can have full-on interactions with NPCs. Apparently he can greet, threaten, rob and hold up proper conversations, which, if this is true, I have high hopes Rockstar keep this in for Bully 2, GTA 6 and any open world they make from here on out. I think it'd be a great addition since it lets us choose how we want our character to be. Like, we can have our character be a friendly anti-bully, or we can actually have him be the bully who threatens nerds for their lunch money. In my opinion, Bully 2's authority should go through an overhaul too. It should be a mix of what it's like in Red Dead Redemption and GTA. For example, on school grounds, if you get in trouble you should be able to outrun teachers and prefects, but they'll be on high alert for you, and students might snitch on you, a bit like the law in Red Dead Redemption where you can outrun the police, but law enforcement is on alert for you and bounty hunters are too. But say you're in town and off school grounds, the police should feel a lot more threatening. Like for example, in Body 1 you can throw a brick at a police officer, jump in a bin, and they don't care. I feel in Body 2 police should actually call out units to come and look for you, a bit like they do in Grand Theft Auto, and search the area in depth for you, and of course, if they spot you, give chase. That would make the police feel a lot more intimidating and not just a prefect reskin in my opinion. It could also work if the player causes a lot of trouble at school, like say you go and assault teachers and prefects, the police should be called to come and deal with you. I feel it make being wanted much more intense and give you a real sense of causing a lot of trouble. And I'd hope the meter or wanted level doesn't disappear after running away for 30 seconds either. That was one of my main gripes in Body 1, as the meter went down incredibly quickly, and once you've gotten used to the controls, it was just too easy to avoid getting busted at all. Just run for about 40 seconds and you're free of whatever the hell you just did. I'd also like to see a bit more of an in-depth fighting system too, and for the love of God, please do not make our character overpowered. Okay, I guess most Rockstar Games protagonists are overpowered, but I feel that Jimmy was incredibly overpowered compared to the other Rockstar Games characters, as Jimmy can block every single attack, he can take anybody down by mashing the square or X button, and he has 100% accuracy with weapons like the slingshot. I'd hope that fighting is a lot more in-depth as well, rather than just mashing the same button over and over again, like say having combos which vary depending on what buttons you hit in a specific order. Like say hitting the punch button twice and then grappling could result in a unique takedown, as opposed to just punch and then just, grab him by the chest. I'd also love for clicks to actually feel a bit more threatening too, like the thing with Body 1 is the characters are just too easy to take down and they don't feel threatening at all. Like you can go to a prep and have him knocked out within 5 seconds. And I'd hope that Body 2 would change that up quite a lot. Like say angering a group of greasers would make you regret it, and it would make you much more cautious when dealing with large groups of them, rather than single-handedly taking them all down with a 5-hit combo and a spud gun. Of course, if Rockstar do stick with the satire theme, which I hope, the threatening vibe shouldn't apply to the nerds, and maybe a couple of the preps, but townies, jocks and greasers should feel much more intimidating than they do in Body 1. And of course any other stereotypical tough click which Rockstar may or may not add. I feel partly what made Buddy so memorable was the soundtrack. Like the first thing you hear when you take control of Jimmy is that somewhat upbeat yet nostalgic melancholy tune as you walk around the streets of Bullworth, and how every click had their own theme which suited them all beautifully. Like how when you hear the Jock's theme you know Damon's coming to kill you, or how Johnny Vincent's theme had that 50s style beat, and how quite a few tracks were sampled off songs from the 80s. Pretty much all of Buddy's soundtrack was memorable, and in my opinion it hasn't been matched yet. Rockstar did an amazing job in Red Dead Redemption as well, when you can hear western riffs when overlooking the town of Armadillo, which I hope actually returns in Redemption 2. It's a nice bit of ambient soundtrack. Now Buddy also had dynamic music, although admittedly it wasn't perfect. Like say you could be doing a stealth mission and the music would be slow and quiet. And how if you got into a fight the music would suddenly pick up and become fast paced and louder, before going back to quiet once you stop fighting. I honestly like this as it made some missions feel a bit more intense when the music starts picking up, as opposed to just staying quiet or just staying the same throughout. Though as I said it was far from perfect admittedly, like if you kept getting spotted the music would sort of keep restarting, which was a bit annoying, so I'd hope Buddy 2 would be able to mix in and out without restarting the same song 30 times over. And I believe a soundtrack as memorable as the first game in Body 2 is an absolute must. I believe Sean Lee did a great job capturing what music would fit each click and each mission perfectly, and hope Rockstar are bringing him back for Body 2. And yes, I know about the 2009 article, but that was in 2009. Now honestly, one of the things I'm really looking forward to most for Body 2 is hearing that walking theme for the first time ever, as we gain control of our new character, approaching the doors of our new academy, wondering what the rest of the game has in store for us all. So those are the things I would like to see in Body 2. I know they're not usually as exciting as the other people who want to see all these features and all these maps and all that, but it's just my personal list and I want to try and remain as realistic as possible. So thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed and have a nice day.